trod in heaven. Hallowed, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth, as it is in heaven, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Oh, oh. Abana Shabbat Shemayim, Kudash Haya Shamkan, Malak Wav Noah Taba'a Ratazayana. Haya Aisha Ba'arataza Kawa Haya Bashamayam Nathalanawa Lakam Kalyawam Wasalak Nawa Kabwa Wav Nawa Kasalag Nawa Kawab Yanawa Wala Thabay Yanawa Banasayuan Abal Hawashai Nawa Mayan Rakaya Lanawa Hamalakwa Wa'ala Wathapa Arak La I will Aman.
Yeah. Yeah. When you see some light, that's a breakthrough. Concrete jungle, it's a damn zoo. Eyes wide, while they live on snooze. I'm hoping what you touch impacts some souls. Picture perfect, nigga, like a centerfold. I'm all about my bread, that's the dinner roll. Do it on my lonely, you can send the word. I remember drinking until my speech was slurred. But karma is the bitch, you better treat it right. It's power in these thoughts, she gave me mic. But this your life, nigga roll the dice. Eviction notice, try not to notice. But through your ups and downs, trying to find your purpose. Girded in this truth, blocking evil forces. Good intentions, create your invention. No huddle, fourth and inches. Keep on trying, heart of a lion. Keep on climbing on your way to Zion. Highs and lows, no time to fold. Since the snotty nose, I've been kinda bold. Keep on trying, heart of a lion. Keep on climbing on my way to Zion. Highs and lows, no time to fold. Since the snotty nose, I've been kinda bold. You headed to them streets, trying to fill the void. Trying to box with God, trying to win our floor. All these traps, gotta count the joy. I lift my voice up like a trumpet though. Wash away these sins and these transgressions. Change your outlook, that's your only weapon. But we the black Jews, these is mental Jews. Trying to set a pace while they drive on cruise. Can't trust they actions, they intent is cruel. I'm from a sunny place where it's shady people. Erase your history and they say we equal. Do your all in this world, they make you feeble. Built these corporations, look how they treat you. Get up on your grind, I'm thinking ownership. I know your past mistakes equate to something better. He give visions to the blind, Helen Keller. Keep on trying, heart of a lion. Keep on climbing on your way to Zion. Highs and lows, no time to fold. Since the snotty nose, I've been kinda bold. Keep on trying, heart of a lion. Keep on climbing on my way to Zion. Highs and lows, no time to fold. But since the snotty nose, I've been kinda bold.
All right. Shalom, shalom, family. Shalom. It's been quite a long time since finally got StreamYard back going. Here at headquarters. Building is up and running. Everything running smoothly. It's feel great to be back. Not that classes have changed, but a good brother Ganon in the building, man. Shalom, good sir. Shalom to everyone coming in. Shocks in the building, shalom. Sis Zamaya, shalom, sis. Sis Izar. Oh, man. So, everybody's still coming in. So, I know all of you remember the last time, the previous class last week, I had gone into about race, prejudiceness, crime, statistics, the society that we live in, that is America, spelled with 3 Ks for the Ku Klux Klan. Tonight, all of you see the title. Hope you guys appreciate the thumbnail because we're going to talk about who the real criminals are in this society. And not just that, but we're also going to discuss statistics. We're going to look at tables. And we're going to talk about things that is laid underneath the rug. And we're going to talk about things that I'm sure, respectfully to say, some of you have never seen before that's going to be revealed tonight. So, tonight's lesson is titled Crime and Criminals. Again, shalom to those coming in. Yes, sir, Ganon, that's the plan, man. I'm going to show all of you, number one, who the real criminals are, who leads in it, why this information has not been brought out, and lastly, to give all of you the fuel and ammunition to really talk about the truth, because we know Christ says in John 8:32, you shall know the truth and the truth shall make you free. And in this case, a lot of you may be ignorant, and I don't say that to mean stupid, but ignorant being unaware. you're not privy to, or you do not have necessarily the knowledge of what I'm going to display and bring out tonight pertaining to everything within this presentation that I have, and also within these statistics that I'm going to show all of you. So, without further ado, I'm going to add myself to the stage, and we are going to begin this presentation. I'm going to be going in and out, or I'm going to present this for the most part. I don't want to skip out on what you guys are saying. Well, I'm going to go through this all the way through and then respond afterwards. But this slideshow is entitled Crime and Criminals. Today's the 12th. These are defining terms for all of you. Crime is an action or omission that constitutes an offense that may be prosecuted by the state and is punishable by law. It is a grave offense, especially against morality. An arrest is to seize or seizing someone by legal authority and you take them into custody. An arrest is the use of legal authority to deprive a person of their freedom of movement. A criminal, a key term tonight, is a person who has committed a crime, one who is a felon, a culprit, or one who has been convicted of committing a crime. Disproportionate, this word is used within health a lot and also within crime. It is too large or too small a comparison of something or someone else. It is to have and show a difference that is unfair, unreasonable, and or unexpected or to be expected. Overrepresent is to include a disproportionately large number of, higher than average, too much or too many compared to something else. Majority is the greater number or more than half the total. It is the larger part of something. An exoneration is the act of showing or stating that someone or something is not guilty of something. I want to make a disclaimer tonight. This lesson, predominantly within the statistics and what we're going to discuss, is primarily between black and white. This isn't to disclude our Northern Kingdom brethren, as we know, our Hispanic, Latino, and Native American brethren. We're not discluding them, but because Esau and the enslavement of Judah predominantly within the Americas is the foundation of this nation, everything that's going to be brought out tonight is predominantly and comprises much between black and white. So it's not purposely that I discluded the other tribes or everyone or anything else. I brought out this pertaining to this lesson tonight because of how Esau and his database, and through, of course, the centuries, history, enslavement, the Reconstruction era, the Civil Rights movement, so on and so forth, has made history the ongoing back and forth conflict and war between black and white. We know that, of course, there's more than just Judah, being Levi and Benjamin included within the Southern Kingdom when it was divided. But the point of tonight is what I'm going to be discussing is what Esau put forth between his statistics and his data tables being black and white. That's going to be the focus of tonight's lesson so everyone understands. All right, defining terms. Next slide. The FBI Uniform Crime Data Report System. I use this system, and I'm going to show all of you tonight everything that's going to be displayed within this presentation and what's to come after this presentation. The FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program is collecting and reporting nationwide crime statistics, serving as a reliable source for law enforcement, researchers, the media, and the public. So this information is accessible to every single one of you. The program gathers data from over 18,000 law enforcement agencies to provide periodic assessments of reported crimes, which are then used for administrations, operations, planning, and a key social indication system in the United States. The Uniform Crime Reporting Program generates reliable statistics for use in law enforcement. It also provides information for students of criminal justice, researchers, the media, and the public. The program has been providing crime statistics since 1930. The UCR program includes data from more than 18,000 city, university, and college, county, state, tribal, and federal law enforcement agencies. Agencies participate voluntarily and submit their crime data either through a state UCR program or directly to the FBI's UCR program. This provides a nationwide picture of the nature and the extent of the crime in the United States. This serves as a crucial data source for criminologists, sociologists, and other researchers studying crime trends and causes. This makes crime data accessible to the media, legislators, policymakers, and the general public. The program collects data on a variety of crimes and arrests, including violent crimes, drug use, and hate crimes through systems like the National Incident-Based Reporting System and the Summary Reporting System. So again, this is accessible to the public and is accessible to every single one of you. This is the UCR, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, the Uniform Crime Reporting System. All right, we're going to get straight into it. White media and white conservatives, which is basically the subliminal of white nationalism, which is also related to racial subjugation, racial hierarchy and class, of course, white at the top, black beneath, and everyone else beneath white. The main strategic and priority point that they have is to keep, establish, and preserve white dominance and control over the system. The one thing I will make a disclaimer tonight is about Charlie Kirk. He had this notion that black people make up 13% of the population, but commit over 50% of the crime. And the numbers keep changing between 53, 55, 58, even 60 at times. We're going to dispel that, and we're going to disannul and destroy that and annihilate it tonight. So, black people in crime. The claim that 1 in 3 black men will go to jail is an outdated statistic. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. Current data indicates the lifetime risk is now closer to 1 in 5. While the rate has declined significantly, systemic issues like policing and sentencing practices, historical inequalities, and the disparate impact of criminal records contribute to racial disparities in the other criminal justice system, which is why this rate remains disproportionately high for black men compared to other groups. The outdated statistic, the 1 in 3 figure, was based on data from the 1980s, not today's rates. That was over 40 years ago. The current lifetime risk for black men born in 2001, the lifetime likelihood of imprisonment is now estimated to be about 1 in 5, assuming current rates remain stable. This is a significant decline from the previous estimate, because we're not all criminals, of course. That's what the system in this nation would like for you to believe. Systemic factors. This decline does not mean the issue is resolved. Systemic factors such as policing, prosecution and sentencing practices, historical disadvantages in the use of criminal histories contribute to disproportionate, there goes that word, incarceration for people of color, notes the Sentencing Project and National Institutes of Health. Disparities that remain despite the overall drop. Black men are still significantly more likely to be in prison than white or Hispanic men, a fact supported by the Bureau of Justice Statistics. More on black people in crime. The number 13 is used in conjunction with either the 52 number or the number 90 is a shorthand reference to racist propaganda claims by white supremacists against African Americans to depict them as savage and criminal in nature. I can't wait to get to these FBI database tables. In this numeric shorthand, the number 13 refers to the purported percentage of the U.S. population that is African American. The number 52 represents the elite percentage of all murders committed in the U.S. that are committed by African Americans. Some white supremacists use the number 50 instead of 52. Again, because they like to, fluctuate the numbers. Similarly, white supremacists claim that the number 90 refers to the percentage of violent interracial crime allegedly committed by African Americans. Before I continue that, so all of you understand and know, all of you remember that Ukrainian girl that was killed on a train a couple of months back, Irina Zarutska, by that mentally disabled black man. He was released 14 different times on different occasions. And when that happened, it went nationwide. White people have what's called selective outrage, which means they will find any means and any reason to justify means of violence that will push forth their agenda towards racially subjugating, predominantly, of course, black people. When that killing happened, it was posted by white media and conservatives, which are Republicans, predominantly all over the nation. And then it was also noted by Trump about what happened. When it says the violent interracial crime, they have this way of that one black man killing that one white woman to then refer to all black men and people of color as violent and sadistic, barbaric criminals that they believe we all are and we're not. The point of that happening, and it is very unfortunate and sad what happened to her, is that they push this agenda to now police us, prosecute us, and now look at us more so as targets off of that one killing. That's why it says here, white supremacists claim the number 90 refers to the percentage of violent interracial crime allegedly committed by African Americans. Some white supremacists cite the 1994 National Crime Victimization Survey produced by the Justice Department as evidence for the percentage. However, this figure does not show up in the survey itself and is not considered an accurate one. Black Americans accounted for approximately 26.6% of total arrests in the U.S. in 2019, according to the FBI Uniform Reports data. Conganon, it doesn't make sense. But again, I do hope all of you are taking notes and paying attention to this because this is very important. And in these times we're living in where crime is at an all-time high, I want to make clear to all of you, everything that's being brought out tonight is dispelling this notion that we're just violent and we're just barbaric and we're born to be locked up and put away. If black people as a whole make up a small portion of the United States, because this nation, I believe, is roughly around, I think it's less than 400 million people, we have to account for the fact that if we make up such a shorter percentage of the population, it's because of how much of us are locked up for these particular kind of crimes that they think we commit, they believe we commit. And towards the end of this presentation, I'm also going to bring out more statistics and show the crimes that they accuse us of, the crimes that they think we commit, we're really innocent. All right, so again, the black population of the United States is growing in 2023. This is post-pandemic. An estimated 48.3 million people self-identified as black, making up 14.4 of the country's population, not 13, as it's always been suggested. This marks a 33% increase since 2000, when there was a 36.2 million black people, since there were 36.2 million black people living in the United States. The most recent estimates from 2023 to 2025 placed the black population around 13.6 to 15.2% of the total U.S. population, or approximately 48 to 51 million people, depending on whether individuals identifying as multiracial are included. That's to also mention the fact that we are the most locked up and more disproportionately and overrepresented to be arrested and put behind prison and jail institutions. In criminal justice, the 13% population figure is frequently cited in contrast to the percentage of arrests or individuals in the correctional system who are black, which are disproportionately higher due to a range of complex socioeconomic and systemic factors. And health disparities pertaining to COVID-19, something also to factor in, data as of September 2021 indicated black persons were 12% of all cases, which was more in line with the general population proportion, 12.5%, but still had persistently higher test positivity rates and were more likely to be hospitalized and die than white persons. All right, here's the most important part of this entire presentation: exonerations and crime. While black people make up, again, the number fluctuates, just 13.6% of the U.S. population, they accounted for 53% of exonerated people. Similarly, of the approximately 240 people of the Innocent Projects has helped free or exonerate, 58% are black. The National Registry of Exonerations report highlighted particularly shocking disparities between races among wrongful drug convictions. About 69% of people exonerated from drug crimes were black and 16% were white, despite studies showing that white and black people use illegal drugs at similar rates. And of the nearly 260 people who were exonerated in individual cases in which they were deliberately framed for drug crimes by corrupt police officers, 87% were black. Some of you are old enough, being children and teenagers, I say this respectfully, during the war on drugs and the crack epidemic, HIV, so on and so forth. I'm bringing this out because the war on drugs, quote unquote, was waged against our people. And in that happening, it not just created a power vacuum, leaving fathers out the homes, more people sleeping out of wedlock and creating more broken homes. What this also did was allowed the government to marry the black and Hispanic woman, divorce the man and take him out the household, have them live on government assistance. And now there's a use for black men to be more locked up, and there's an incentive for doing so because now the prisons and the jails are being filled. So what they don't talk about and what's not brought up enough is the fact that, yeah, black people do make up a lot of crime. What they don't also bring up is that we make over 50% of the exonerations because black men are locked up the most for crimes they never even committed. How much men have any of you seen in the media are released after 20, 30, 40 years for something they never did? They've proclaimed their innocence. They've tried so many appeals. And yet there comes a random day when the authorities go, hey, he never committed that crime that we accused him of all the way back. And usually it's a murder or rape or a robbery that ended up in someone else's death. And then decades later, hey, that guy was innocent. We have AI technology where we can make anything and everything pertaining to videos, pictures, and so on and so forth. Why do you think that all the black and Hispanic men that you see yearly released are being released at slow rates? Do you know if they released all the innocent black and Hispanic men from behind bars, it will collapse the entire prison industry? It literally says cases in which they were deliberately framed, which was done on purpose for drug crimes by corrupt police officers, 87% were black. And the two predominant states where you know this happened at was New York and California. This also continuing, it says, black people account for more than 50% of all crime exonerations in the United States since 1989, the same decade when the crack and HIV epidemic took off amongst our people. According to data compiled by the National Registry of Exonerations and the Innocence Project, black Americans comprised approximately 13.6% of the U.S. population, but make up 53% of all exonerated individuals. Police misconduct was found to be more likely in murder exoneration cases involving black defendants than white defendants. So just as they say we murder one another and we kill one another, which is not untrue, they don't also tell you that all the black men that are locked up for murder are actually innocent, but are still locked up for that particular crime and framed anyway. Yep, you got to see the movie Just Mercy. Kind of sister ass. In drug crime exonerations, a disproportionate number of individuals were black, despite similar rates of drug use between black and white Americans. In some cases, police officers intentionally framed black individuals by planting drugs. Innocent black people spent a considerably longer time in prison on average than innocent white people. Again, which proves the point of how much of them are released decades later. Hey, he never committed that crime. And then look how much they're reimbursed with the millions of dollars that they think are going to give somebody their life back. This is a table. These are all 3,200 crimes totaled out of 100%. White, black, Hispanic, and other. Look at the black section. For murder, white men are... Oh, I gotta go back. Salaki. For whites are exonerated at 32%. Blacks are exonerated and freed at 55%, which means over half the murders they think we commit were actually innocent of. For sexual assault, of course, this goes back to the Jim Crow, the lynching era, when white women would falsely accuse them of rape. The whole town would get together, grab him out of the jail, proceed to lynch him, and pick him on Sunday. And everybody would come together, take pictures, have postcards, send them out to their families, mutilate the dead victims, keep their penises, ears, hands as souvenirs, disgusting as that is. Look, you have robbery, something else black people are also high in crime in. 64% exonerated. Drug crimes, the highest one of all of them, 69%. And then you have other nonviolent crimes, 52%. So when it comes to other nonviolent crimes, drug crimes, robbery, sexual assault, and murder, black people are over 50% represented in all exonerations, which means they are put behind bars, locked up, framed, and found guilty of things that they have never done. And with all of the technology that we have, you'd figure that they'd stop doing this, but that's not the case. I'm going to put Exodus 23:7, the NLT. Be sure never to charge anyone falsely with evil. Never sentence an innocent or blameless person to death, for I will never declare a guilty person to be innocent. Warren said 100,000 when it should be millions. And that's the point. No matter how much millions they do pay back, it doesn't give someone back their life. It doesn't give someone back their life. Continuing. Next slide. This is the last page. This is how race influences convictions. Innocent black people are more likely to be wrongly convicted of crimes than innocent white people. They are 7 times more likely to be convicted of murder, 3.5 times more likely to be convicted of sexual assault and or rape. Drug crimes, of course, which is rampant everywhere, which exploded through the crack epidemic. Black people are 12 times more likely to be convicted of drug crimes they've never committed. Good point, Yashar. Central Park 5. You know, with the labor laws and everything that took place after the Civil War, you know, this nation never ever stopped needing labor to continue to build itself up. And of course, yet again, this isn't, of course, to include our Latino, Hispanic, and Native American brethren, but the war, since the foundation of this country and the sailing of Europeans over here after wiping out pretty much Gad and Reuben and exterminating them as much as possible, the conflict since then has been between black and white. And again, that's why we're going into this. Okay. All right. So now we got that done. When they are slaves. Now, my favorite part of this whole lesson. I'm going to show every single one of you all of the database tables from the FBI. Again, this is their uniform crime reporting data system. I'm going to show every single one of you who leads in crime and who's committing the most of it according to FBI statistics and according to everything I brought out in the presentation, to show all of you with the proof, with the numbers, who's committing the most crimes. All right, so I'm sharing my screen right now. And I'm going to go through all 9 tables just to show you the proof. This is crime in the United States in 2010. Of course, this is public. Every single one of you can Google this, FBI.gov, and type in table 43. That's right here in the upper left. This is arrest by race 2010. Look at this. We're just going to focus on this portion. Or excuse me, it's doing all 3, but I want to focus just on the total white and black. So this is all on the left-hand side, these are all the offenses. The total is right here. This is white, this is black. These are just the two I'm going to focus on, or excuse me, the three. Oh, excuse me. Aside from the three, we're also going to focus on the total percentage over here pertaining to white and black. And we're going to go through all this together as all of you are looking at right now. So the total arrests in 2010, according to this FBI database table, there were 10,177,907 total arrests recorded. White people numbered at 7,066,154 arrests. Black people numbered at 2,846,862 arrests. White people made up 69.4% of total arrests, and black people just made up 28%. All right, the first one. Let's look at the first three. Murder and non-negligent manslaughter, which is willful intent to kill somebody. White people lead at 4,261. Black people follow right behind, 4,209. White people had a higher rate of murder at 49.3%. Black people had 48.7%. Forcible rape. This is Esau's. This is number one on every table led by Esau. 10,178. Black people 4,925. White people is 65.7% in the lead in first place with rape. Black people are 31.8%. Robbery. 37,906 for white, 48,154% for black. Excuse me, 154 for black. That's 43.3% for white, 55% for black. Pretty much. Can you zoom in? I'm not sure if can I zoom in? Sorry, can I zoom? Is this? No, it's not touch. Let's see this type of search. No, it's not it. I'll zoom in on this. Zoom in. Nope. Let's check out my app real quick. Listen to the control scroll. Nope. I do not see that up. Okay. All right. Yashar, I got you on that. Once Apayat hits me back. Let's see. That's not it. Oh. Okay. All right. So in continuing, my point of bringing out this table is to show all of you, white people don't just have the most arrests, almost outdoing black people by 5 million. They lead in everything else pertaining to crime. Sex offenses, 73%. Driving under the influence, liquor laws, and drunkenness is all led by Esau with 80+% for each of those crimes. And the one that actually was interesting to me, where is it? Offenses against the family and children is at 66%. Okay, you sure know what he's doing. Appreciate you, good sir. Okay, there we go. All right, you guys can see this better. Appreciate that, Yashar. All right. So again, this is white, black, and then these are the percentages over here for white and black. So again, white people lead in every crime on this table except for robbery, which is what black people lead in at 55%. And then you have this over here to see the statistics. And on the left-hand side here, all of you see the crimes pertaining to everything on this table. So this is white, black, and then on this side in the gray shaded area, this is white and this is also black. Kanawar on domestic violence. And not just that, with crimes against family and children. Esau don't respect, they don't beat their children, so they don't really discipline them. Their kids be yelling back and swearing at them. So it's actually amazing how much high they are with all these crimes and offenses. Look at this. 73.8%, they lead in sexual offenses. They lead in drug abuse violations. They lead driving under the influence, liquor laws, drunkenness, disorderly conduct, all other offenses except for traffic, suspicion. They lead that amongst black people at more than half the rate. Curfew and littering laws, literally at 59%. My point in bringing out all this and to show you guys is to show you that the real criminals is not black people. The real criminals are the people that aren't the ones that want to discuss these tables and really look at the statistics and see who leads in crime. Now, if I scroll all the way down, for all the tables, it gives you a second portion. These are the arrests for underneath 18. So again, white, black, and of course, for murder here, blacks, those under the age of 18, outdo whites within murder because we know that accessibility to the guns, growing up without fathers in the homes, being in the streets leads to gang violence. But other than that, and aside from robbery, white teenagers actually lead past black teenagers in robbery. It's not surprising. Oh, look, arson, Esau loved to burn things, 75% for white juveniles. Stolen property, 56%. Vandalism, 78%. Sex offenses, of course, over 70%. Esau's, Jesus. Driving under the influence, 91%. Wow, that's actually wild. Offenses against the family and children, 71%. That's actually higher than the table previously. Again, these white kids don't respect their parents. And then these are arrest 18 and over. These are the adults. So actually, according to this, murder and negligent manslaughter, white adults actually lead more murder than blacks do at 50%. Forcible rape, that's Esau, is 66%. Blacks outdo whites in robbery, 51 to 47%. Aggravated assault, 64%. Burglary, 69%. They have the nerve to call us thieves, and they're actually the ones stealing and robbing. All right, and that concludes it for this table. And if any of you guys look at this, when you Google it, you can scroll all the way to the bottom because it gives pretty much a summary. It says in 2010, as it will with all the other tables, 69.4% of all individuals arrested were white, 28% were black, and 2.6% were of other races. Of all juveniles arrested under the age of 18 in 2010 in the nation, 66.3% were white, 31.1% were black, and 2.6% were of other cases. Nearly 70% of all adults arrested in 2010 were white, 27.5% were black, and 2.6% were of other races. White individuals were arrested more often for violent crimes than individuals of any other race, accounting for 59.3% of those arrests. The percentages of adult, white, and black arrestees for murder were similar, with 50% being white and 48% being black. But they have the nerve to say that we're the ones going around killing and murdering each other. Juveniles who are black accounted for 50.5% of juvenile arrests for violent crimes. Juveniles who are white accounted for 64% of juvenile arrests for property crimes. Of juvenile arrestees charged with driving under the influence, 91.2% were white. Juveniles who were white accounted for 75.4% of juvenile arrests for arson in 2010. All right, next table. I'm going to kind of scroll through everything briefly, but the point of showing you guys these tables is to show all of you that every time that you are having a discussion, anytime you're talking about data, crime, and statistics, all you have to do is just pull this up. All you have to do is just pull this up. And it will easily dispel the narratives that we're the most violent, barbaric, animalistic people walking this nation. And they don't realize and actually seem to understand that on every single table, look, The total number of arrests, 9,499,725. They lead in every arrest on every single table. 6,578,133 arrests. Black people are at 2,697,539. Black people are it's a lot. White people are 48% responsible for murder. Black people are responsible for 49.7% of murder. Keep in mind, every time you're reading about murder on these tables and you're reading about drug crime offenses and or rape, we account for over 50% of the exonerations, and we are released because we are innocent of crimes we've never committed. Please keep that in mind. Robbery, of course, 43% for white, 55% for black. And then if you look at everything else on the table, at every single crime, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, theft, motor vehicle theft, arson, violent crime, property crime, other assaults, weapons, carrying possession, prostitution and commercialized vice, sex offenses will never lead in that. That is Esau's number one thing, especially with rape. Forcible rape up here, 65%. And then you go down here to sex offenses except forcible rape or prostitution. Oh, this would also include, because they didn't want to put it on this table, this would also include crimes and sexual assaults and rape of minors and the possession, the making, and the distribution of child pornography. They purposely did not include that. Drug abuse violations, of course, Esau can't get enough of that. You have gambling. Black people gamble more at 66.9%. One thing we do also outbeat them in. Offenses against the family and children. I told you guys Esau don't respect their parents. You know, they yell back and swear at them. 65%. Black people are at 32%. You know, our parents don't play that. Driving under the influence, liquor laws, and drunkenness, all over 80%, which is ridiculous. And then, of course, you guys can scroll all the way down at the bottom. See the summary. In 2011, 69.2% of all individuals arrested were white. 28.4% were black, and 2.4% were of other races. Of all juveniles under the age of 18 in 2011, 65.7% were white, 32% were black, and 2.3% were of other races. Nearly 70% of all adults arrested in 2011 were white, 27.9% were black. White individuals were arrested more often for violent crimes than individuals of any other race, accounting for 59.4% of those arrests. Next table, 2012, look, same thing. 48.2% for white, 49.4% for black when it comes to murder. Again, on every single table, they always lead in the most arrests. 6,502,919 arrests. Black people are only at 2,640,067 arrests. So again, when this argument's made and this discussion is to be had about who the real criminals are and who leads in crime, it is not black people. It's not. This number right here is greater than the number right next to it. That's 6 million arrests compared to 2 million. So to the honest truth, and according to these statistics, because you know they say men lie, women lie, numbers don't. This is a federal organization that's gathered data from over 18 different thousand sources, gathered it all together, made this table throughout the years, and is showing who's really responsible and who holds and commits the most amount of crime nationwide. Kana Warwa said, you know they're going to throw their cigarettes out while they're driving. Absolutely. Absolutely. It definitely is. It definitely is. Yeah, Ganon, they're the real thugs. The real thugs. Look at this. Forcible rape again, 65%. Jesus, bro. You just look at the table. They burn everything. They love stealing things. You have the nerve to talk about black people? Look at this. They're over 60% in almost everything. What crime don't they commit that they're not responsible for, especially when it comes to driving underneath the influence and liquor laws and drunkenness? You know, I know a lot of you know about those college party kids and those frat houses and the things that they're doing. There's a reason why this is the third table, and it's at 84.6%. Look at that, 81.6%. 81.3%. Scroll down again for the third time. 2012, 69.3% of all individuals arrested were white, 28.1% were black. Look at this. Of all adults arrested in 2012, 69.7% were white, 27.6% were black. So for the third table in a row, almost 70% of whites as a whole, male and female, were arrested for crimes. This is 2012. 2013. Same, all over again, same thing. Look. 6 million arrests for white. 2 million for black. So now this is where they begin to get that narrative from, that we commit over 50% of the murders. Right here. Again, which is why I brought out in the previous slideshow presentation, they forget and leave out we're also exonerated at the same rate, which means the murders that they think we commit and we're guilty of, we're actually really innocent. They also forgot and don't bring up and mention that state prisons can actually sue the state if they don't get enough prisoners to fill their jails. And who do you think they're going to purposely go after and frame for crimes that they don't commit? This nation was built off our labor, not theirs. Remember in Deuteronomy, it says, they shall be the head and we shall be the tail. And again, you look at Esau's crimes, 66% in rape. Jesus, bro. Aggravated assault, 62.9%. Those domestic rates are very high. Burglary, larceny theft, motor vehicle theft, arson. Esau love burning shit. You go down, vandalism, weapons, carrying possession, prostitution and commercialized vice, sex offenses, 72.4%. Look at that. Here we go again. Offenses against the family. I think this is the what is this? The fourth time this is at 65%. You know, oh gosh. Driving under the influence. Liquor laws. 80.1. Drunkenness. 80.8. A lot of you know that college pipeline, and the things that they do in the dark. Especially when it comes to alcohol and the chug and everybody's partying and date rapes and all that. That's Esau's culture. Look at this again, the fourth time in a row. All of you are witnesses. In 2013, 68.9% of all individuals arrested were white. 28.3% were black. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show that this is 2014. Again, this is public information. All of you can Google it. Look at that. They make up 69.4% of all arrests. 6 million whites arrested. 2 million blacks arrested. Again, who's really the criminals here? Of course, we're ahead of them in murders, of course. We're framed for it the most. And we're also ahead of them in robberies. Something else we're also exonerated at over 50%. You know, Esau, when it comes to rape, you definitely know they're number one in that. Look at that. Again, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny theft, the motor vehicle theft. There's a reason why they made Grand Theft Auto. They're literally living the life of it. There's not a reason why that video game wasn't created unless they were actually doing it. Look at that. Sex offenses, 72.5%. Esau leads in that. 80% for all the drunkenness and laws and driving under the influence. Yet again. Scroll all the way down to the bottom. And what do you have? 69.4% of all individuals arrested were white. 27.8% were black. 2015, same thing. 5 million arrests white, 2 million black. 69.7% of all arrested were white. 26.6% were black. 2016, again, 5 million whites arrested, nearly 6 million. 2 million blacks arrested, 69.6% of total arrest. Black people make up 26.9% of the total arrest. Who's really the criminal here? 2017. Y'all thought I was joking. This is they released 9 years of database tables showing arrest and who makes up the most predominant amount of crime and broke it down by statistics and by percentages. White and black is all we're going to focus on. Look at this. White, 5 million over 600,000 arrests. Blacks, 2 million arrests. 68.9% total arrests for white, 27.2% for black. 2018, yet again. Look at this. 7 million total arrests, 5 million white, 2 million black. White people make up over 2/3, 69% of all arrests. Black people make up only 27.4%. Who's really the criminal? Last table. This is 2019. I believe they stopped making the database tables due to the fact that the pandemic hit the following year, and this is the last table that they made. But either way, I did the research and I didn't want to continue because I could keep all of you guys here for a whole work shift to show you and explain to you how much of the crimes they really commit and how much of the information is not made and known to the public. All right, so last one. Total arrest, almost 7 million arrested, 6,816,975 arrests. White people. Of course, again, number one, 4,729,290 arrests. Black people. 1,815,144 arrests. White people again, over 2/3, 69.4% total arrests. Black people, only 26.6%. You really want to go over who's the criminal, who's the thug? I can guarantee you it is not us, it is them. 2019, 69.4% of all individuals arrested were white. 26.6% were black or African American. Oh, man. And the thing is also with murder, what they don't understand and realize, what I very much dislike, because according to these statistics, we do outdo them in murder. The murder capitals is definitely where the nation and the children of Israel are. The problem with those concentrated areas is that they think all of us are doing it, and they don't go into the fact that they just lock us up and arrest us and don't realize they're just filling their prisons in. And then when the time comes, hey, that guy's innocent, let's release him. And then lo and behold, look how much innocent men are freed from behind bars for things they've never done and committed. Conganon, it's not even close. It is not close. And the importance of this is to show you guys that if you really want to have this discussion, especially if any of you are talking to Edomites or anybody else, or black people for the most part, please understand and be aware, yes, we commit crime. Yes, we steal. Yes, we do horrific and sick things to each other. Crime is not exclusive in a black people thing or a Hispanic and Native American thing. It's predominantly a white people thing because these tables here show every single one. They make up the most arrested. Look, every single last table, every single year. All of you can search this up. This is all public information. 2013, 2013, 2012, 2011, 2010. 9 straight years in a row and continuing because they stopped making these tables. Every single one of you can search up how much of crime is happening, who's committing it, or who's really responsible. And yes, because all of you have figured out through everything I presented so far, it's not black people. All right. This is the FBI Crime Data Explorer. What this does, this allows you to see all of the arrests from the United States and a percentage of the population coverage. So right now, we're in 2025. These are the spanning years beforehand. Arrest in the United States by offense. This is male. This is female arrest. Oh, look. You look here. 32,196,655 arrests. Well. Look who's been arrested the most. Would you look at this? Look who's been arrested the most for the past 5 years with 20,630,819 arrests. It says white people. Black or African American make up 9,093,562 arrests. So now with that being said, I'm going to show all of you something that I had discovered. Come on, Yash, you already know. Ron said you should also be able to look up your personal states information in cities. Absolutely. Good. No, you thought you saying wow to that. Let me show you guys something. So all of you here on the left side, and you guys look here, you guys can see the time frame for 5 years, right? I'm going to go custom, and I'm going to show all of you something I discovered. I'm going to share it with you. The start date. Some of you may be as old as this date here, 1985. We're currently in November, but it only goes up to the month prior before the month has to conclude. So I can't put November 2025. So I did try my best to see how far back I could go, right? I can only go back to 1985. This is when Microsoft Excel was invented, made, and created. This table from this time frame allows me to go back 40 years, all the way back to 1985. Some of you may just be as old as this data I'm about to present to you and show you. This database in this table is going to allow me to go back 40 years to 1985 to currently 2025, last month in October, and show you by the federal database from the FBI Crime Data and Explorer who has had the most arrests over a 40-year span. Watch this. Watch this. You see it's loaded, right? Look. Let me show you guys this. Look at this. 326,324,823 males have been arrested over a 40-year span. 93,339,631 females were arrested. Look at this. We're the criminals, right? But white people, over a 40-year span going back to 1985, have been numbered at 284,024,466 arrests. Black people number at 120,258,592 arrests. Let me search something. The current United States population estimated right now is at 340 million. 340 million. $340 million minus 284 million. Since 1985, roughly 4/5 of the entire white population correlated to the United States population currently have been arrested. This is a 40-year span. I'll show you guys the proof. January 1985 to this year, going back to October 2025, last month, 284,024,466 white males and females have been arrested over a 40-year span. And they have the nerve to say that we're the criminals, we're the violent ones, we're barbaric, we're animalistic, we can't control ourselves. I know all of you have been hearing about black fatigue this, black fatigue that. Look how black people act in public. They act like animals. Look at them stealing. They're just a bunch of monkeys. Is that really the case? When they literally are more than double and make up more than double the arrests that black people have? Double this would be 240 million if you multiply this twice. They have more than been doubled arrested at the rate we were. So how are we the criminals? And yet we're the same ones exonerated for crimes that we didn't commit at an over 50% rate. For murder, rape, and drug crimes. And for other nonviolent crimes. So that all of you know, and the witness to this, this is the FBI Crime Data Explorer database. Exactly, Yashar. These thugs do need to be stopped. Okay, Sister Yaz, okay. Another say 81. Listen, Ganan, the fact that you're older than this data should let you know and give you the evidence, the fact that you being older than this data should show you how valid this is. For 40 years, because I can guarantee you, I'm only able to go back to 85. I tried it. You can't go further back than 85 because, it definitely would overnumber 300 million, which would probably be more than the likely number. They don't really want to reveal and show who's responsible for the most crime in the United States. This is their database, by the way. This is white lead. They number at almost 300 million arrests. This is crazy. Almost 300 million. So again, they call us the criminals, the thugs, everything else, so on and so forth, right? The next time that, you guys hear stereotypes, black fatigue this, black fatigue that, or if you're speaking to anybody that's of the Caucasian cave persuasion, you should let them know that, yeah, we have our problems. Yeah, we're violent. Yeah, I would just hope that it's not a particular Edomite talking, because according to the FBI database tables and according to this data here, they have always led in arrest and they always are in front of us. Like if this is Mario Kart, they have not stopped coming in first place. This is ridiculous. Look at this, 284. How do you get arrested that much? How? Shalom, Egypt to Israel. Vanessa, I wonder why Charlie Kirk didn't refer to this data. He didn't refer to this data because of how much it would really criminalize his own race and how violent and criminalistic white people really are. And the reason why is because white has to be upheld to the highest moral standard possible. White has to be the pristine and the glorious and where you should strive to reach. Meritocracy, work hard enough, yada, yada, so on and so forth with all that nonsense. They don't bring this out and discuss this and talk about this because of how it would make them look. And this is why it's our job to. Exactly. Sister Yaz, that's the point. That's why the news won't show this. And again, this is all white led and this is all white predominantly populated. I'm showing you from their database and their tables what they're bringing forth with all the information. This isn't me. I'm just showing you guys. They made this, but they don't bring it out in the same manner to say, well, even though black people are arrested for murder and other things at higher rates, and they're freed at over 50% rates for all of those crimes, they won't go on to tell you white people actually have led the lead in arrest for over, decades? This is going back to 1985. Some of you are older than this data, and they have the nerve to call us violent. Yo, Yashar, they do have infinite red shells. You can't pass them out. Khan, the accuser of the brethren is Esau, indeed. And again, this is what you won't hear from white people, white conservatives, no matter what party they're of, and what beliefs they hold, because it would attack their morality, quote unquote, whatever morality that they have. And it would definitely make them look completely non-credible because they lead an arrest, but they have the nerve to talk about how violent black people are. And that's the point of all this data. So again, you guys have the FBI data tables going over 9 years that show all the same statistics. And yes, if you search up 2020 crimes by race statistics, they're still in first place. They will always be in first place. The world's greatest criminal is Esau himself. Revelation 6 told us this. He is death and hell that sat on that pale horse. Ganas said they need to add the murders during slavery. What would the data show then? That would probably break technology because it's unaccounted for. We're fortunate enough, not lucky. We're fortunate enough to even have literature talking about the things they did. If that was included, you got to remember too, Ganan, we weren't even considered people. We were considered 3/5 of a human being. So we weren't even fit to be considered human at that time. Khan Yashar, excellent point. 40 years leading in criminal data. Excellent point. Excellent point. So again, this is all public information. Every single one of you can Google this, search it, and yes, AI is going to tell you blacks disproportionately lead in murder, yada, yada, whatever it is, so on and so forth. AI is not 100% credible, but it is a useful tool. But I will also say and add, searching this up for yourself and looking through all of this, which is something that nobody would probably think to do respectfully to say, would actually show you the real statistics and numbers about who the real criminals are and who actually leads in crime. Khan, I on the bar, sister Yaz. I want to bring this out because in this high time of politics, what I see going on around, the internet is I'm kind of tired of hearing about black fatigue and, black conservatives that are really sellouts, speaking about the degrading condition of our people and aren't even really doing anything about it, but just talking about it. And it's annoying to hear how much, I'll say, bootlicking that they do when conservatives in the majority of the Senate and the House of Representatives is white-led, and, Trump being an Edomite himself, how much they're really sell out and talk down upon their own people and not realize you're talking down on us with black fatigue. We steal, cruise and carnivals. Look how ratchet we act and look. You're not even realizing, according to the data, we don't even lead in crime. This is a 40-year span that I've shown to all of you. From January 1985, they're lucky. I can't go back, and they probably did that on purpose to show that white people have literally, this is actually, hold on. You guys all see this here, 284 million, right? Keep that number in mind, 284 million. If you go back literally to the crime table in 2010, from 1985 to 2025, over 40 years, their arrests literally are more than the whole U.S. population in 2010. Hold on. Wow. And in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 246 million. I'm looking at the population number right here. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. And yes, you can very much add to this present day. They are indeed from the Caucasus Mountains. That's exactly why they don't know how to behave themselves. They're definitely the base of men. This is why they're so barbaric and criminalistic in nature. Come on, put Psalms 36:3. The words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. He hath left off to be wise and to do good. Well, if that was the case, which we know Esau doesn't know what good is and can't define it because they enjoy sleeping with children and making and distributing child pornography, they wouldn't lead an arrest. And this number here, 284 million over a 40-year span, is higher than every U.S. population on every federal database table from 2010 all the way to 2019. 229 million, 238 million, 242 million, 245 million, 250 million, 246 million, 257 million, 253 million, 247 million, 2019, 229 million. They literally outnumber in their arrest over a 40-year span of the whole United States population going back to 2010. That is beyond flabbergasting. So the next time a conversation about crime comes up and who the real criminals are, all of you have this ammunition here, and I'm sure more of you, I know more of you guys have more sources and things of that nature to bring out to dispel the narrative that we're responsible for crimes. I'm going to continue on this because I'm not finished. What we're going to talk about next is Esau's obsession with children and the making and distributing of child pornography and why they lead in pedophilia, which is definitely going to be next because, they like to say we kill each other, rob and steal. But we're also going to get into their obsession that Esau has with children and why they enjoy sex with underage people. All right, And last one. This is a video. This brother here is explaining. I think I played it. I can't rewind it back, but I'm going to play it again. This brother is explaining Charlie Kirk's point about why black people make up 13% of the population and why 50%, quote unquote, of black people are attributed to murder. He debunks this and is going to explain everything I did. I'm going to play it again, so when it stops, I'll replay it.
Americans, about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Wrong. Just 38% of America's prison population is black. That's according to the U.S. government. But it makes you wonder why Charlie feels the need to add an additional 12% to the black prison population. Could it be because his bigoted talking points only work if he exaggerates? If Charlie were actually looking for the race that makes up half the prison population in the U.S., he'd look no further than white people at 57%.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do.
Wrong. The word "so" is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes.
He's saying "so" as in therefore, as in one could conclude, but Charlie knows he's lying. Even if he hadn't just lied about the black prison population, Charlie is smart enough to know that correlation does not equal causation, but he's hoping that you don't know that. So he deploys the word "so" to make you think he's coming to an obvious conclusion.
Exactly.
So blacks
Instead, he's making an illogical, racist leap. Charlie knows that we don't have usable data about who commits crimes. It's impossible to have that data since so many crimes go both unreported and or unsolved. Charlie knows that we only have data about arrests and convictions. I'll come back to that data in a moment. What's painfully obvious is that Charlie Kirk isn't interested in understanding the statistics he so carelessly misquotes. He's interested in making bad faith arguments, something that becomes even more obvious in his next point.
blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Wrong again, and loud this time. If Charlie were interested in honesty, he would have mentioned the other 1350 statistic. Yes, black people are about 13% of the population, but make up 53% of all criminal exonerations. In fact, black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations specifically. Black people are more likely than any other group in this country to be convicted of crimes they did not commit. And then people like you have the nerve to parade these stats around as though they prove something. The reality is that you probably know these stats, but you leave them out on purpose, because to bring that stat into this conversation would make some people think. And that's the last thing a person like you wants.
All right. All right. And that concludes this. The brother debunked his point. He showed the same data I did. And most importantly, he explained why these false statistics and these things have to be discussed and brought out, because, again, those at the forefront of crime and those that are actually the ones doing the most when it comes to what we had looked at on a database table pertaining to crime are not black people. It's Esau. Esau is number one outside of, if you will, murder and robbery. They are number one in every form and manner of crime on those database tables. So the next time that any one of you are having a discussion, conversation, if this is even brought up, even in camp, even the simple conversations and discussion you're having with anybody, feel free to mention this. And please don't rely and depend on AI, because it's just going to take you to sources that say, yes, black people make up a small percentage of the population, but they do much of the crime. That's not true. If you want to say black people commit so much of the crime, also bring up the fact that we make up over half the exonerations and the most exonerations of any other race and group of people compared to white, Hispanic, Alaskan, Native American, Indian, Chinese, Japanese, so on and so forth. We don't lead in crime. They do. Doesn't make sense that we're such a small portion of the population, or a smaller portion, but we're attributed to everything happening with crime, and they're not. Egypt to Israel said, this is excellent research. Khan. Again, just getting really tired of the same talking points and just the degradation of how much people really speak down upon us as a people, and the Lord said we'll be the laughing stock among the nations, but it gets to a point where rather than to get upset or angry about it, it really just fuels you to do your own research and go and really seek the truth behind what's really going on and what's being discussed pertaining to what's actually happening and what's true and what's not. And what's true is what I've showed all of you here. Again, every single one of those databases and every single one of those statistics I brought out, all of it's available to the public. Every single one of you can search those things up, and wow, he was right. White people do lead in arrests. White people do lead in crime. And if you really want to put it this way, black people kill and steal. White people, they lead in everything else. Drunkenness, sexual offenses, pedophilia, child pornography, what else? Arson, burglary, motor vehicle theft, violent crimes, assault, aggravated assault. They lead in everything else. We got two things. They have everything else. And all of you seen how long the table was. And every single one of you, if you go to those databases and you look at those tables, scroll all the way down and it gives you a summary of every single one. On every single table, they all lead in 69% or more of crime. They literally make up more than 2/3 of all the arrests pertaining to the FBI federal database. God, they lead in the diabolical shit. Absolutely they do. That's going to be the next class. Because just as they like to bring up how we're so tainted and poised by gang violence, we're ghetto, we don't know how to hold ourselves and manage ourselves in the public, we're going to talk about Esau's crimes. It's about time we do. Because it gets tiring to hear the same thing over and over and over again about black people this, black people that. We're going to talk about their crimes and the things they do in their own communities. We're going to talk about it. At least this month alone, or within the past month and weeks, there have been 56 Republicans and conservatives of Trump's party that have all been arrested for child sex exploitation crimes and child pornography and wanting to meet up with minors, all white. We're going to talk about it. The same way that they have the right and reserve to talk about us and speak down on us, we're going to put the spotlight on their crimes. The same way that Ukrainian girl was stabbed on the train and the whole nation had to stop, look what they were doing, and pay attention to this poor white girl that was stabbed to death by this mentally disabled black man, we're going to talk about it. Notice how that crime happened. Did any of you hear about the white guy in Philadelphia that killed 3 white cops? No. Did any of you guys hear about that West African Ivory Coast teacher in Maryland that was mutilated and cut apart to death, and the white guy that committed the crime admitted in the jail phone call that he let the beast come out of him and made her remains or her body disappear that they still can't find to this day? Did any of you hear about a doctor wanting to pay a woman to have sex with her 5-year-old son? No. But we had to all listen to hear about this one poor white girl that died at the hands of this mentally disabled black man. And now all black men and black people are violent and criminal. But when it comes to the things they do, it's not put in the spotlight compared to when we do something. When De La Rue shot and killed those 8 black people in the church, they proceeded to put a bulletproof vest on them and give them Burger King. Kawasa, I did hear about those. They're real quiet about those. And that's exactly the point. When it comes to the things they do, they're quiet. When it comes to the nasty, disgusting things they do, you don't hear nothing. Some nasty, grown-ass father, white, impregnated his own 12-year-old daughter with 3 of her siblings. I bet none of you heard about it. I bet none of you heard about it. New Jersey councilman, white boy, found with hundreds of thousands of child pornography images with his father that was complicit in the crime. None of you heard about it. Quam crickets, that's all you hear. We're going to talk about Esau's crimes. Enough of this narrative that crime is only a black proclivity, and they actually think that it's just us committing and doing these things, and they don't see or want to talk about the things they're doing in their own communities. Enough. We had our turn, and just like in Lamentations 4, when it talks about how our iniquity and our captivity is finished and Esau is up next, it's Esau's turn. We're going to talk about it. Enough of the things that they think we do are sick and disgusting and don't talk about what happens and what goes on in their own communities. But no, that's not even the worst for it, honestly. That every week, some nasty, decrepit, disgusting white man is arrested for wanting to meet up with the minor, sexually abusing minors. And the worst part is it comes from all positions. Firefighters, policemen, doctors, you name it. The same stereotypes they got, you know, when you see a black person walking by your car, they immediately lock their doors. The next time you see a white man, do you just immediately assume he's going to molest and go after your children? So this next lesson, we're going to go into Esau's crimes. Enough of the narrative about black people and they're violent and they're enough. I've shown all of you here, all of you are witnesses. Their arrests spanning over 40 years literally outmatched the whole U.S. population going all the way back to 2010, according to the federal database tables that showed that the U.S. population numbers over 200 million and their arrest records spanning 40 years literally outnumbers that on every single one. Quam said, even on Law and Order, they show more of Esau committing those types of crimes. Exactly. It's a societal and normal behavior for them. All Columbus doing, sailing over here, was just making worse. Did you guys hear about that white kid in Oklahoma, that 18-year-old kid that sadistically raped and choked out those girls he was talking to and had a relationship with, whatever it was? I see so many white people actually talking about it and upset. And it's like, they've been doing this for centuries. Why are you just now upset that they're doing this? This one white kid choked out these white girls. And of course, when they came to arrest him, his mom was protecting him, not wanting him to get arrested and taken away. And there's so much white outrage at this and how disgusting he is. And it's like, you guys have been doing this for centuries. For centuries. I learned not too long ago, Columbus was looking for the 9-year-old and 10-year-old Taino women, or girls, excuse me, and said that they were worth more than farms. This has been their behavior for centuries. If any of you didn't know, child marriage is still legal in 34 states. The age of consent in some states like South Carolina and Florida is 16. And every single year, children are trafficked at the highest rates possible. There's an open legal loophole for them to literally have sex with children. White people aren't ready for that conversation, though. So again, with the next class, we're going to discuss Esau's crimes. And we're going to elaborate into the things he does that's not discussed and talked about enough, because enough about this narrative and black people being portrayed as the beast, the animal. Look at themselves. They can't control themselves. They need to be tamed. They're wild. They're like monkeys in the jungle. Enough of that. It's time to talk about their crimes and the things they do. So I hope tonight, with the lesson, all of you now have the ammunition you need to be able to battle against these narratives. Because enough about how sick and sadistic we are and the things we do. You need to be looking in your own communities. That's what they could do, rather than to focus on us. And again, the FBI.gov, and all of you can look at the tables. Every single thing I brought out is all public information, all of it. So if any one of you are battling, debating, conversation. But, excuse me, what's this here? Because this doesn't say black people are in first place. You are. This isn't us. We don't do this. Listen, we kill each other and we steal, but everything else is all Esau. Everything. Crime is not a black proclivity. It's a white people one. There's a reason why the spirit of Satan is the spirit they embody. They're literally the physical embodiment of Satan. Of course, Satan meaning to deceive. They're going to deceive you by believing that we make up the most amount of crime because we're disproportionately arrested for most of it. And not even realizing, just as we are arrested for most of the crimes, we're also released at the same rate because we're committing these crimes that they're accusing us of and that we're supposedly guilty of. But yet they don't realize or understand we're released at the same rates because we're arrested for prison labor and use. And state prisons can actually sue their own states for not receiving enough prisoners. What kind of law is that? So, again, this wasn't to disclude Latino, Hispanic, and Native Americans at all. But because Esau, through the racial hierarchy system, has made the war between white and black, that's what this lesson was focused on predominantly tonight. And the light's been shown with everything that's been brought out, who the real criminals are, who leads in crime, and who's always had the number one place. Kanye Top. So the next class, we're going to put the spotlight on Esau. We're going to get a nice magnifying glass and talk about the things Esau has been doing. Because it isn't spoken about enough. With that being said, any comments, questions, concerns that anybody may have? I did want to go back. So all of you can type in the Crime Data Explorer from the FBI, and you guys can scroll down. It'll give you a list. It'll show you the total arrest records. That's where you click at to look at where I was looking at, and you guys can see over the years all of the arrests that have taken place, and it'll show you male, female, age, and it'll show you by race. And even according to that table that I showed all of you, they still lead a crime. So that will be the next class. And I hope all of you will have the capacity and the stomachs to be able what I'm going to bring out, because it is disgusting. It is very vulgar and explicit. And Esau's crimes have no limit. They have no capacity or limitations for how far they will go. That being said, Amadyum Apanyam Aquadum. Let's rise and face the east. This is Psalm chapter 14. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. The Lord looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand to seek God. They are all gone aside. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat of my people as they eat bread, and call not upon the Lord? They were in great fear, for God is in the generation of the righteous. Ye have shamed the counsel of the poor, because the Lord is his refuge. Oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion, when the Lord bringeth back the captivity of his people. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. In the name of Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, the water of Yad, Amen.
Maju Shabbat, Amaju, Barak, Yahweh Shemir Shabbat.
Yahweh Shemir Shabbat. Allah Tawab family, shalom, shalom.